It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Friday Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast. And I'm not 100% sure on technical issues today as I'm having trouble with the camera. You might be able to tell I'm not actually able to see, and it's not my clear camera that's working. So first of all, guys, before we get started, hello, Mike and Roger. Can you guys see me, number one, and hear me, number two? If you could stick a comment in the chat, please, if you can see me and hear me. I would appreciate that. Because then we got one. Yes. Okay. Now we're going to do one other thing. Here and take that out. Okay, so now you can hear me now. I hope. Sound back. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. So something screwed up, and I'm not sure what. All right, so we'll just go back and begin over again. By the way, some of you can see now chats in the on screen. It's so small I can't see it, but I know it's there. So I have to do saw twin chilies for a bit. Yeah, I was using two different cameras. And I can't get it to work. Okay. The heck with that. I'm just going to use the camera that's not as good until I can figure out what it is, or else go buy a new camera, one or the other, which I may do anyway. So, hey, good morning and welcome to Friday Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast, and that's the 13th day of June. Gee, it seems like I just said that. Coming to you from my studio in Forest, Virginia, brought to you by the 2025 World Cruise on the Crown Princess by, who's the other one? Will U.S., the owner of Scooter Hound, and by Chillie's Cruises. Now I'm going to be silly all morning, y'all. Not a great deal of news today, but there's a few stories. Of course, we've got a little bit of day 14 on the World Cruise update. I'll give you a hint. Kawakas. All right. Also today, folks, the Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster. Wow. Cruise line unveils a $25,000 suite. That's $25,000 per night suite. Hot Air Tom needs to get off his wallet. Valiant lady has engine issues again. A hidden speaker. It just decides to, when it wants to come on. Scares the crap out of the people in the cabin. I got silly laughing at that one. A crew assaulted in a French port. Princess doubles the capacity in Singapore, and the Carnival Valor returns. And man, some of the improvements in the dry dock on the Valor is kind of amazing. And lots more here live at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, guys, is National Are You a Klutz in the Kitchen Day. If you're a klutz in the kitchen, go klutz around and fix something. Back in the day when I could stand and move, I always loved to cook. I loved to be in the kitchen. Not anymore. I just can't, I can't stand long enough. And sitting in the kitchen when you got to get up and down 95 times, it doesn't work for me to try to cook standing. I mean, yeah, I can grab something out of the refrigerator and put it in the microwave, but that's about it anymore. This date in history in 1774, Rhode Island became the first colony to prohibit importation of slaves. I did not know that, folks. And that would have been, of the 13 colonies, Rhode Island would probably have been the last that I would say would have been the first to prohibit importation of slaves. Who knew? If you're a podcast person, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net. The blog, folks, has been expanded and covering a lot more ground now. It's gone several steps beyond being just for accessible issues, although that's still the major theme. But I'm also doing some travel issues on there. I'm covering the World Cruise on there. My podcasts go up on there every day. So that's all on the blog. So that's accessadventure.net. And it's starting to build up a lot of traffic because I'm putting so much more effort and content on the blog. So feel free to pop in and check on that. All right, so we got a couple things to cover here. You know, our girlfriend Katie is up there in Massachusetts on the island. She drove up. She takes about 3 days to get there, 2 days, 3 days, which is good. I understand that. You know, it's a long haul from Orlando to Martha's Vineyard. But anyway, Katie goes up there every summer. This is the beach. It was bare. I mean, obviously it's not the most enticing of weather. You can see that from the cloud cover and misty appearance. But then I have to admit, Katie got to me. So she went for lunch down on the water, and this was her view while she ate a lobster roll. And I thought, just rub it in, Katie. I would love to be there with Katie eating a lobster roll. Then I got to thinking, why can't they overnight me one? But it would be yuck. So anyway, I'm glad Katie's back, and I mean, I love it up there. I love being on the water. I love being in New England. That's a typical view. Of course, that's on Martha's Vineyard. And they have good lobster rolls. We'll say that. Okay, so we don't really have a major update this morning, but those of you that remember from us talking, Nate was first highly upset that he thought he was not going to get to go see Kawakas. Those of you that don't know Kawakas, you're going to get to know who they are pretty quickly. When it looked like the 2025 World Cruise from Crown Princess was going to be late getting into Perth, causing the excursions to be canceled, our buddy Nate Valor was distraught. He had looked so forward to going to Rottnest Island and seeing the Kawakas. Actually, the way it worked out, they overnighted. He was able to go to Rottnest Island the next morning and get a chance to see the Kawakas. Kawakas are a small wallaby, in the kangaroo family. They have a pouch just like the kangaroos, only they only grow the size to be the size of a domestic cat. They have short tails, short faces, and round ears. All right, guys, that's a kawaka. And they're only found on the islands off the coast of Western Australia. So I learned more about kawakas in the last couple of days than I knew in my entire life. So Nate got to go see the kawakas. I don't know if he actually got to play with any kawakas or not, but he got to see them. So, and of course, that was Nate took all those pictures and clips and the like. All right, guys, I'll be back with a couple news stories after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. All right, guys, before we get started again, my apologies for the technical issues today. I'm not using my regular camera. I'm using my old crappy camera on my old computer. I was trying to use my other old crappy computer because the camera's better. That's what we couldn't get any sound from. So I've got to do some work on that this weekend. I may end up doing that rather than going out and filming something. Who knows? But anyway, so my apologies for that. At least I think we're getting the show going. I hope. All right, so getting on with the news. This story particularly is for Hot Air Tom. Regent Seven Seas Cruises, one of the finest ultra-luxury cruise lines, has announced the largest all-inclusive ultra-luxury cruise ship suite in history that starts at only $25,000 per night. The 8,794 square foot Skyview Regent Suite will be on the cruise line's next new ship, Seven Seas Prestige. The suite will be 4 times larger than the average home in the U.S. and includes a dedicated personal butler, private car, and guide in every port. The suite will have the following features: 3,703 square foot wraparound balcony, 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, floating natural stone staircase, private in-suite elevator, personal gym and sauna, a walk-in closet, and a private dining venue for 12 guests. If you should be interested in such a once-in-a-lifetime, be able to say, I've done this trip, just give me a call, 434-258-9264, and we'll book you in the $25,000 suite. Man, I'd love to book some people on that sucker. That'd be even better than a world cruise. All right. Walt Disney World's Hollywood Studios is gearing up for the Muppets' first ever roller coaster set to debut next year. Disney wrote in a social media post hosted by Kermit the Frog on Saturday, "Hi ho, everyone! The Muppets are packing up and moving to Sunset Boulevard for the first ever coaster. Grab your guitar or banjo because Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets speeds into Disney Hollywood Studios in 2026. Once again, the only weather to discuss is in the Pacific Basin. The two storms that were there have dissipated, but now we have to start watching the next two. 4E, the outer bands of potential tropical cyclone 4E may bring locally heavy rainfall to the Mexican states of Guerrero, Michoacan, and Colima through this weekend. Isolated flooding and mudslides, especially in the areas of steep terrain, is possible. The disturbance is forecast to be a tropical storm strength when it moves near the southwestern coast of Mexico tomorrow. Tropical storm conditions are possible over portions of that area. The other system, which is in the light green coloration there, has not formed yet, but is expected to as we go into early next week. For the second time this month, Virgin Voyages has had to notify guests just days before their June 15th Valiant Lady cruise out of Miami of important itinerary changes. We've made an itinerary update to your upcoming Mayan Soul voyage sailing on June the 15th, the email notification read. Due to engine maintenance, you will now visit Cozumel instead of Costa Maya on day 3. Also included in the communication was the full schedule, including the original and updated one, with all changes being highlighted in red. Initially, the 110,000 gross ton Valiant Lady was set to call on Costa Maya from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on June the 17th. Instead, it will be docked in Cozumel on June 17th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., giving guests a little more time to explore the tropical destination. Truth be known, I'd rather be in Cozumel than Costa Maya myself, but there's more to do, more to see. Costa Maya is, like a little strip mall to sell crap. Not much more there. So that's really not a bad thing. The bad thing is this is the second time they've had engine issues in the last couple weeks, causing some itinerary changes. That needs to get fixed. I don't know if the Virgin Voyage ships have azipods and they could be having azipod issues. And that nobody said anything about that. Certainly sounds like it. Whether you're relaxing on the beach, visiting a theme park, or touring Hollywood, summer is a great time to visit the LA area. Need some additional mobility support for your trip? We're offering discounts on scooter and wheelchair rentals for Anaheim, LA, and Disneyland until the end of August. Just give us a call toll free at 888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 or call me direct 434-258-9264. A recent guest on Independence of the Seas ran into a very strange situation in their cabin when a speaker under their vanity randomly began playing music. Based on the timing of the post, it appears that the guest is on the 4,300 guest ship for a 9-night sailing throughout Spain and Portugal, which embarked from Southampton on June the 9th. Royal Caribbean fans were quick to advise that there's a volume knob near the vanity to turn the sound down or off, but unfortunately, this feature seemed to be broken. Sorry, folks, but I have to tell you what I pictured. No offense, Sonny. I could just see Sonny sitting in her cabin knitting away. She likes to knit. Sitting there knitting away, looking out at the water, knitting, and all of a sudden, it out of the speaker comes sign the family stones or somebody crazy. It would scare her to death and she'd stab herself in the head with a knitting needle. So it just randomly started playing music, folks. That's a new one. What began as a night of leisure turned violent for two cruise ship crew members during a stopover in the popular French port Ajaccio, Corsica. The crew members, part of the Mein Schiff 4 crew, were assaulted outside a local nightclub in the early hours of May 17th. The attack left one crew member with multiple fractures and unable to work for 90 days, according to local news sources. The incident happened after the crew members decided to enjoy some time ashore while their ship stayed overnight in port. The group visited a nightclub called Entracte in downtown Ajaccio, a well-known nightlife spot. According to reports, an altercation broke out between the crew and a group of locals, which quickly escalated into a violent brawl. Princess Cruise Line will double its capacity when it will deploy Sapphire Princess to Singapore starting in October of 2026, where it will join Diamond Princess, which has been sailing from Singapore on a seasonal basis for the last 2 years and is headed there again for the 2025-2026 season. Sapphire Princess will sail a 33-night repositioning cruise from Los Angeles to Singapore on November 22nd, 2026, calling at ports in Hawaii, Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Vietnam. The sailing includes the Christmas holiday and concludes on December 26th. Carnival Valor has resumed service following a thorough dry dock refit and refurbishment, emerging with significant improvements aimed at enhancing comfort and introducing fresh onboard offerings. The vessel welcomed its first guests in Barcelona before commencing on a westbound transatlantic journey ending in New Orleans. Among the ship's most notable addition is a waterworks aqua park atop the decks, complete with twin slides and splash zones, an amenity now found on 24 vessels within the Carnival fleet. Also new aboard Deck 5 is the Heroes Tribute Bar and Lounge, a space dedicated to active duty service members and veterans. This marks the 16th ship in the line to feature this homage. Efforts to improve accessibility have extended throughout the public areas, where pathways were widened and facilities modernized. Accommodations also received attention. Staterooms now offer additional USB charging outlets and upgraded lighting. The onboard casino has been expanded and refreshed to feature new gaming options and an improved layout. Nice improvements to the Carnival Valor, which will home port in New Orleans. Obviously, the most important thing in that is they're making some accessibility improvements, widening some hallways, widening some spaces. That's just awesome. And they're talking about it, so that's even better. So congratulations to Carnival for doing that without some of us screaming at them. That's great.
Experience Alaska at an affordable rate. VR1 balconies are only $1,289, including taxes and port charges. MSC Poesia sails from Seattle, May 25th, 2026. Book now. Call 434-258-9264 or go to bit.ly/Poesia Alaska 1.
All right, that's going to actually put an end to the news portion of today's show. Let's go see. I don't know if this chat feature is working properly or not. So we're going over to the chat room anyway, since the last one I see on the feature is Joanne when she said happy Friday. So let's go back over here and see if there's anything else that we missed. All right, here's one of our ex people. Can't hear you now. Yep, I know. I was working on that. Can you get that fixed? And Buck Kate says, hi, it's nice to have you. Thank you very much for joining us. Kate, welcome aboard. We do this at least 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where we talk about various facets of the travel and cruise industry. And then I follow the news the other days. If anything major happens, I jump back in and do another show, or when I'm traveling. Mike's with us from the other side of the pond. Roger from Jacksonville. Is it still 2023? Where are we seeing 2023? I don't know, Roger. I'm showing 2025 for everything that I can see. If for the 2023, it might be something that I have set screwy. Of course, Mike said yes to both. Sound gone. That was when I flipped over. Sonny says, hi, Chillie and all. Hi, Sonny. And no sound, but it came back. Can't hear you. Saw twin chilies. Yeah, that's, can you imagine two of me? Oof. Boy, that'd be a load. Hi there, Tom says hello from Chick-fil in Bowie, Maryland on our way back to Richmond. Bob's with us, says, good morning, gang. Have a great weekend. Todd's with us. Good morning, Todd. Mike says, please, Nate made his tour. Yeah, that was good. Joanne says, last but not least. Okay, thanks, guys, for being with me today. I will, I'll try to get up with Nate sometime this weekend and do an update with him. There's Gretchen. Hi, Gretchen. Glad you're with us. Nate is now, it's 7 or 8 days that he's at sea as he's going across to Mauritius, the Mauritius Islands, which is in or just off the coast of Africa. Yeah, so that's the next stop. And it's not till, I want to say, like next weekend one day. The other thing that's pretty good is Nate and I pronounce the name differently, and neither one of us are convinced that either one of us are right. So we got to find out what's the proper pronunciation of Mauritius or Mauritius, or, I mean, there's could be all kinds of ways of doing it. I've pulled up several of the, how do you pronounce this things online, and they're all different. So we're going to Mauritius. Roger says Mauritius. That's the way I said it. Thank you, Roger. Intro pages 2023. Oh, okay. I will look into that. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Again, I'll monitor things this weekend. I've got to work on this camera business to try to get that fixed or replaced or whatever, so we can continue on with this. Again, my apologies for having to use the poor camera today. I tried another camera altogether, and it didn't work at all. So, and I'm not sure if it's the computer or if it's in fact the camera. I don't know. Anyway, I got some planning to do to try to get that fixed, which I'll get on that today. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. Once again, thanks for being here. Smash that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, please take this as my invitation to do so. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll be notified when I do another video or we go live, and you can always join us. All right. That's it for now. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great Friday, everybody, and a wonderful weekend. We'll see you sometime this weekend or on Monday. See you next time.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.